channel. I'm Sarah and you're watching So Beauty Stuff. Today I am actually really excited. I'm making a video that I've wanted to be making for a long time, and that is to introduce my very own makeup brushes from the new So Beauty Stuff collection. So I am going to be using these brushes today. I'm not going to be doing a makeup tutorial as such, but I'm going to show you how to use as many of these brushes as I can. But let me talk to you a little bit about what's included as well. There are going to be a few different sets of brushes that you can choose from, but this is the full collection. So this is the complete collection called So Complete. So it comes in this faux leather bag, so cruelty-free and vegan. It's got this rose gold zip with the detailing on there, and as we unzip this, the brushes are inside, and we can see here, brand new set still in the packaging. We have 4 pockets in here, which help to keep the brushes tucked in there, but there's plenty of room in here to also include makeup products, and that's what I had in mind when I designed this bag, was having plenty of room for makeup products as well as your brushes. If you are then on the go, you can chuck some of your essentials in here, and there's plenty of room in the bag as well. Over the past probably year, I've been really absent on my social media, which I wish I'd been able to have a bit more time for it, but there's been so much going on. At the beginning of the year, I was still completing my makeup artist qualification, so that was taking up a lot of my free time, and I graduated, and I kept promising once I graduated I'd be spending a lot more time writing blogs, making YouTube videos, posting on my social media, and that just didn't happen because one thing led to another, and I was straight into the production of these brushes. That's taken up so much time, so much back and forward. And these last few months I've had another massive change in that I am moving overseas. I've been living in New Zealand since 2012, it's 2020 now, and I'm moving back to England, so I'm really gonna miss New Zealand. And New Zealand is where So Beauty Stuff was born. But we're going to be launching our online shop based in the UK, so by the time you watch this, we may already be there. So the process behind designing these, you know, as I was doing my makeup, I'd always try and decide which brushes were my key brushes, my core brushes, the ones that I always wanted to use. What would I change about this brush? I wish this brush was a bit more like this. I wish I had a brush that was somewhere between these two brushes, and it just came to the stage where I wanted to design my own. My husband Luke and I talked about the idea of launching our own, and it just kind of snowballed from there, really. It started off as kind of sketches on a piece of paper, an idea. We went and sourced a factory. We had a couple of duds before we found the one, and we sent off all our ideas. They created some samples for us. We went back with some amendments. They created more samples with us. We went back with more amendments, and that kept going until we got the finished product that we were happy with, and then we've ordered the mass production. It's quite a scary and exciting adventure for us to be on, but it's been a real sharp learning curve, and we've learned some hard lessons, but also we've learned some really valuable lessons along the way, and we're really excited to be able to bring you the finished product. The color scheme is something I'm really proud of. I'll just grab out a brush here. These were the 2 colors that I came up with, and I love the way that they work together. You've kind of got this rosy mauvey pink, and then down to this sort of deeper redder burgundy color. And it took a long time to get this right, but we're really happy with them. And every single one of our brushes, they're all handmade and they are all hand painted. So the gradient on every single brush is going to be ever so slightly different because they're all done by hand. But I really love that. I really love the detail that's gone into making them. So we've gone for the best quality synthetic fibers we could find. I didn't want to be using real animal products. We tried a different couple of samples of different bristles, and once we felt this one, we just knew this was the one. It's so soft to the touch, it's so soft on the face, it's great with picking up and applying product, and it's easy to clean. So details on the brush, so we've got the gradient on the brush handle, and we have the brush name and the So Beauty Stuff logo on each handle. And then on the black ferrule, because I wanted to go black rather than silver, I just felt it fit the aesthetic better, and I'm really, again, very happy with how that looks. And then on the back of the brush we have the SO logo again, which matches the zip on the bag. I'm just going to take them all out of the plastic so I'm not rustling throughout this whole video. One other thing I did want to talk about before I get into using the brushes is the numbering convention. So each brush has its own name, but there's also a number convention. So the idea behind the numbering system was to keep it really simple and really logical and have it reflect the order that you'd use the brushes. And so the 1 is your base products. So you'd use those first, and then I've gone 1.1 for the first brush I would use, 1.2 for the second brush, that kind of thing. And number 2 brushes are your face brushes. So once you've got your base on, the second layer that you start putting on, powders, blushes, contours, that kind of thing. And then the 3 points are all the eye brushes, and again they go from 1 to 9 at the moment. And then the 4 brushes at the moment, we just have 1, and that is a lip brush. The first brush I am going to use today is the 1.1 domed foundation brush. I wanted this to be relatively small and rounded domed head, just for ease of blending and applying to the skin. I know some people don't like using brushes for foundations because they leave streaks, and with all my research, all of my experience using different brushes for foundation, I've always found that a more rounded tip helps to blend it better. And this morning I'm actually using a tinted moisturizer. It is really hot in Auckland at the moment as I'm filming this, and if I'm watching this back in the UK, I'm really so sad because it's gonna be winter. So I'm not wearing a heavy face of foundation at the moment because it just makes me feel like my skin's melting off. Okay, so I'm just gonna dip the brush straight into the product and start buffing that into my skin. And the brushes, the bristles on this brush head, they're quite densely packed so that you can get lots of blendability, but they're also really nice and soft. So you get a little bit of flex in them so as you're pushing it into the skin. And the bristles on here, because they are synthetic, they're great with liquid products. They don't soak up the product an awful lot, and they don't stain easily with the product either. And my tip is as well, if you finish buffing in your foundation or tinted moisturizer, whatever you're using, and you do notice there are any streaks or brush marks, then dabbing it like this really helps to get that soft blend. There are 4 brushes in the base set. It's called So Base. So you have the 1.1 domed foundation, the 1.2 small domed blend, the 1.3 concealer buffer, and you have the 1.4 precise powder. So these 4 brushes. So this is the one I have just used to put my foundation on. So the next brush I'm going to use is the small domed blend brush. So I personally really like to use this for under eye concealer. I will just pop a little bit of concealer around my eyes. It's really nice and soft, but the shape of it also allows it to get into those contours of your face. I'm just going to buff that in under my eye. And the size of this means that takes a matter of seconds and it's all blended in really beautifully. And it's just really very gentle under the eye as well. I love how soft this brush is. So the concealer buffer, as you can see, is a lot smaller, and this is for the smaller areas of your face. So for example, I do always put a little bit of concealer around my nose, but if I have any blemishes or any areas that I would like to cover up, this works great for those. And you have these quite short, dense bristles, and so you really only need to dab it over the product to blend it in. And it flawlessly and seamlessly blends that in. And another thing I really love to use this brush for is to put a base on my eyelid. So I'm just going to pick up some product on there and buff that into my lids. So the 4th and final brush in the So Base set is the 1.4 Precise Powder. This is arguably one of my favorites in the set. Because this I've developed from trying to find the perfect brush for this purpose and never quite finding one that suited my needs exactly. So the idea of this brush, it's quite a small size. Here it is compared to the small domed blender, and it's very, very luxuriously soft bristles. Quite a fluffy end to them, quite a flat paddle shape to it. And the idea of this is to place setting powder under the eyes. So it's very, very soft for that quite sensitive area of the face where your skin is ever so soft. It can also be used to set your lids, and it really perfectly places the right amount of powder. So I've got some loose powder here. and I'm just gonna pick up a really small amount. Now this is not for if you're baking, because then you would want to pick up an awful lot more product, but I've just got a really small amount, and I'm just gonna really lightly dust that around the eyes. Make sure that I don't have any product collecting in my crease there, under my eye, and just sort of softly buff it in. And then the powder is now set under my eyes. It's taken away a little bit of that shine, and it's ever so soft. If you don't want to use the flat end, you can use the top end. If there's any other areas and you just want to take away a little bit of shine or set the powder. So those are the 4 brushes that make up the So Base set. Now the smaller sets actually come in a smaller bag. So you can see here, we have a large bag and we have a small bag. So the full complete set comes in the large bag, and the smaller set comes in this smaller bag. They have the same pockets on the inside, and they also still have enough space in the small bag, so actually hold all 18 brushes if you want, but then there's no room for any other makeup products. So the next set is called So Face. So we have 4 brushes in that set. We have 2.1 large powder, 2.2 medium powder, the 2.3 small powder, and the 2.4 fan brush. So we have 3 powder brushes in different sizes, and then the fan brush. So we're going to use each of these now. So I'm going to start with the large powder brush, 2.1. As you can see, it's kind of got this round tapered shape to it. There's lots of flexibility in the bristles. You're going to get a really nice diffused finish with this. This is a great size for doing all over the face powder. If you want to do bronzing, if you want to do some blush, this is a perfect brush for this. And I'm going to use this just to do a little bit of bronzing and light contouring, and I'm just going to lightly powder that along my cheekbones and across the top of my forehead. And because I am moving at the moment, I have packed up 95% of my belongings. It's being picked up in a shipping container in a couple of days to start its 3-month descent to the UK, and so I've had to choose my staple items of makeup. Luckily for me, the choice on the staple brushes has been lovely and easy because I have my So Beauty Stuff brushes in their bag, so that was a bit of a no-brainer for me. I really hope these brushes can be that for others as well. They're staple core collection of brushes. So the next brush is the medium powder. Again, it's a little bit smaller, it's a lot more tapered, it's a little less fluffy, and as you can see, it's a little bit thinner but a little bit wider. So this is perfect for if you're wanting to do a bit more of a defined contour. If you want to put a bit more deliberately placed blush on your cheeks, this is perfect for that as well. I can actually just use that to go over the contours of my cheek a bit, to add a little bit more definition. I can also put a little bit down the side of my nose. And then we have the small powder. It is a smaller version of the medium powder brush. Similar shape, flatter than it is wide. It's still got enough flex in there to be great for blending, but a little bit more dense, so that you can also use it with cream products. So because this is a little bit smaller, it's great for those smaller details of the face because you have that real control over the shape. So a real versatile bunch, and that's why I wanted 3 different powder brushes of different sizes and different densities for all the different needs. And then we finish with a fan brush. I feel like a fan brush should be a staple in everybody's makeup brush kit. One of the most popular uses for this is a nice diffused highlight across the cheekbone. You can apply powder products if you want to contour. And what I love using it for is sweeping away powder from underneath the eyes. If you are doing something like a smoky eye and you get a little bit of fallout on the cheek, this is a really easy way to flick that product away without smudging it through the face. So for highlight, if you did want it to be a little bit more heavy than you would get with a fan brush, then I really do recommend using the small powder brush. You can apply it and you will pick up a lot more product. I'm going to highlight with the fan brush today, just on the tops of my cheeks there. And again, this is lovely and soft and diffuses the product beautifully. Now I'm going to use the large powder again to put on some blush. See, it picks it up beautifully, and just lightly dust it on my apples of my cheeks and then dust it backwards. A great product I love using under my eyes is this Hourglass finishing powder in Diffused Light. And so I actually really love using the smaller powder brush to put this in my under eye area just to really brighten. I'm just going to pick it up using the flat side of the brush and just gently sweep it around the eyes. Again, this is really, really gentle. On the under eye, it doesn't tug on the skin at all. It's really, really soft bristles. And then I'm also going to use this to pick up a little bit of bronzer and just dust this across the lid of my eye as a base for my eyeshadow. It's just a really diffused bit of colour all over my eye there. And I can then turn it onto the fluffy, thinner top end and use that to just gently blend out the edges. So the third and final set you can get is called So Eyes. They have eyebrows in them, and we also have our lip brush in the So Eyes set as well. And so in the So Eyes set, you are actually getting 10 brushes. The idea behind these is that you have lots of different shapes and textures and detailed brushes, so that if you are doing a more defined or detailed eye look, you have everything that you need in this set. So the first brush is the 3.1 Crease Diffuser. It has quite long bristles that flare out at the top. It's very soft and it's great for blending. If you are doing that transition shade, this is perfect for sweeping through that crease and diffusing all of the color. But I will just go back in with that same bronzer to show you how I would define that. So I pick up the product and really gently do this windscreen wiper motions to diffuse the color into my crease there. Okay, so the second brush in the eye set is 3.2 Shadow Blender. Really love the versatility of this brush. So if I compare it to the first brush, you can see it's a lot shorter, it's a little bit thinner, and it's a little bit more of a defined shape. It's less fluffy at the end because it's shorter, you have a bit more control. It's actually flat one way and wide the other way. So this means you can actually use it to apply color straight on with the flat side. You can use it to blend color lengthways or apply defined color the long, short way. I'm gonna dip back into that same bronzer color, and I'm going to use the long flat end to just blend this under my eye. Because it's got that long flat end, you can get quite close to the lash line. The next brush is called the 3.3 Domed Blender. So this is a more rounded and slightly curved top brush. It's a little bit more dense. So the idea of this is you can get a lot of detail right into that crease and into that outer corner, pack on a little bit more color. So I'm going to dip into a darker color now, which I'm going to use to apply into the outer V of my eye. You can see I'm still using nice buffing motions, but because it's got that more pointed tip, it is going to apply a bit more color there than if you were just buffing it in with the fluffier brush. And I can draw a bit more of a defined line into that crease. The next brush is a flat shader. So this is a little bit like a smaller version of the 3.2 Shadow Blender. It's a little bit smaller, it's a little bit thinner, it's also a little bit flatter, and it's a little bit more dense. So again, you can use this if you want to get a bit more definition into your eye, or if you're packing on glitters into a specific part of your eye. That's what this brush is great for. So the next brush is the 3.5 Diffused Liner. And as you'll see, this uses different bristles, and that's because these ones need to be a little bit firmer. That being said, it's still nice and soft, but it has a specific purpose. Now, diffused liner, what I would use this for is to diffuse powder or liner, because this is perfect for creams and powders and liquids, whatever you want to use, along my lash line. I'm going to take a darker color eyeshadow here, and I'm going to run this along my lash line, but as I'm doing that, I'm going to smudge it out. And because it's nice and long, you can do that across the lash line with quite a lot of ease. It doesn't take a lot of time. And again, it's still diffused. You're not getting that solid, thick line. If you were using a gel or liquid liner, you could also blend that out if you're trying to create a base for a smoky eye. And I can do the same along my top lash line. And you can see that's just defined my lashes a little bit more. The next brush is a pointed detailer. Now, what I actually really like to use this for is applying highlight to my inner corner. And again, it's got the same bristle fibers as the diffused liner. Because it's not designed so much as a blending brush or a fluffy brush, we want these bristles to be quite firm. And you can see it's the perfect shape to fit around the tear duct there. So So I'm just going to paint that on. I am actually going to go back in with the 3.2 shadow blender, and I'm just going to lightly dust a little bit of shimmer across my lids just to add a bit of color. And I don't want this to be a really strong glittery lid, I just want to add a little bit of shine. And I actually want to darken that outer corner, so I'm going to go back in with the 3.3 domed blender. And again, because of that nice rounded tip, I can just push the color into that outer corner. The next brush in the eye set is the 3.7 Brow Duo. So you have a spoolie on one end, perfect for grooming your brows. And on the other end, we have this really fine angled brush. This brush is perfect for using a pomade or a powder for your brows. I'm going to take a brow pomade today. So I'm just taking a little bit on the brush, and I'm just going to begin lightly painting on hair-like strokes in the areas of my brow that need thickening. And to ensure you don't get any parts that are too thick, I'm just going to run the spoolie back through to make sure they're lovely and groomed. So there is my completed brow versus my incomplete brow. So I'm just going to do the same on the other side. And I always love to run a brow gel through my brows as well, just to help keep them looking nice and fluffy. I'm also going to put some mascara on because I finished my eyes. The next brush is the 3.8 Smudger. So this is quite similar to the pointed detailer, but it's a little bit smaller. So I've called this a smudger because this is actually really great, again, for smudging out liquid or gel liners against your lash line, smudging out powders, if you have a wing that you wish to smudge out. Also, it is a great, even finer detail brush. If there is anything, if you're doing any eye art or lip art, it's great as a lip pencil as well. Sometimes it's really hard naming these versatile multi-purpose brushes to something that's quite specific when actually there are multiple uses for it. So that is the 3.8 Smudger. The 3.9 Bent Liner. With a traditional liner, if you're trying to do your own liner in the mirror, you're having to sort of hold the brush at this angle. With a bent liner, you can hold it more at this angle and you get a lot better sight of what you're doing. So the idea with this is you would soak this in either a gel or a liquid liner. Yes, I will demonstrate it for you and wreck these beautiful white bristles, get it totally and utterly drenched in product. And I always like to then remove the excess in the lid, shape it to the point you want, and then you can get a really nice defined line. Great for winged liner. So I've done a really bad job of mimicking the shape of an eye on the back of my hand to do a winged liner flick. But something like this, if you were doing liner on your eye, you've got that great angle there. And actually one other great purpose for the 3.8 Smudger is actually if you do have winged liner or any lip liner that you actually need to neaten up, grab some micellar water or something that, that is fine for your sensitive eye area. I know some people don't like micellar water. Wet the brush and you can then use it to tidy up any edges. If you really want a nice crisp line, you can sweep it off. And ensure you get a really, really crisp line with this. Because it's got that great point, it's perfect for sharpening up edges. So yeah, that really nice crisp wing there and point there with the 3.9 Bent Liner and the 3.8 Smudger Brush. So the final brush in the So Eyes set is actually a lip brush. This is the 4.1 Detail Lip Line. Now, of course, again, it doesn't have to be used as a lip liner, but that is what I'm going to demonstrate using it for today. So you'll see these bristles are very, very short and the same bristle fibers as the eyebrow brush, meaning that it's not too flexible. You're going to get a really defined line. So what I found, I really struggled to get a really crisp line when I was putting lipstick on with a bigger brush that had more flex in it. This one, you can really go up to that lip line. So again, it's a very, very small tip. So you can pick up the product. I can't talk and put lip product on, but you can draw a really, really precise lip line. So you would use the bristles to the outer edge of the lip, and as you can see, you can create a really, really perfect line. You can then smudge that color down if you're blending the lip color into your lips, and you get that really, really precise line. If you are a makeup artist or somebody that does really fine line details on your face or on your lips or doing lip art, this is the brush for you. It's one of my favorites. So that is the So Eyes, and all together is the So Complete collection, which is the Complete Brush collection. If you watched the sneak peek video I did when I first revealed what my product was and I showed the brushes, you would have seen the box that they come in. So this is just a sample. It's been a little bit battered and bruised. It's got a white ribbon and it's got a white So Beauty Stuff logo there. And the logo is actually, it's shiny, so if you rub your fingers over it as well, you will feel that it's a different texture, and I love that detail. Got the white ribbon here, so you undo the ribbon, you have this magnetized flap on here, and you open up and the box is lined with the white silk that matches the ribbon. This is the box that your brushes will come in when you buy them. We are also partnered with a charity called Lift, and I've shared a little bit about Lift on my social media. The purpose of Lift as a charity is to fight against human trafficking. We can do our part to help those that need us. That's really a real great motivator behind launching So Beauty Stuff, was being able to mix my passion with makeup and beauty, and specifically makeup brushes, which I've always been obsessed with something that means something that's helping people, and something that I really believe in. And Lift is a great charity, and they do some really great work. They physically go and remove people that are in situations where they have been trafficked. They also support them afterwards. They don't just remove them from that situation. They help them go through the legal system. They help to prosecute the people that have committed the crimes against them, and they do victim support, they do rehabilitation. So they do some amazing work and they make the world a better place. So I couldn't be happier that we're able to support such an amazing charity that does such meaningful work. So 10% of So Beauty Stuff profits will go to Lift International, and keep an eye on our products in the future for some specials where we will be able to raise even more money for them. So it's been a really exciting process, a lot of hard work, a lot of effort, and I'm really excited to involve you all a little bit more on my journey now into launching my own product and expanding my business in a way I never knew that I would do at this stage of my life, and moving to the other side of the world, quite literally, to do that. So a couple of really big, bold steps for me. And very excited to have the support of my husband, who has been amazing and a great partner in this business as well. So yeah, really looking forward to what 2020 brings me and So Beauty Stuff. So watch this space. If you have any questions about the brushes, we will be releasing more information, so pricing, when the website will open up. But at this stage, when you go to sobeautystuff.com, there is a sign up page. This will join you onto our mailing list, which means when we do launch, you'll be the first to know. And what we are actually going to do for those that have signed up prior to the launch, you will receive exclusive access and exclusive pricing before anyone else does. So if you want to get your hands on So Beauty Stuff brushes for an exclusive price, make sure you drop your email in there. We're not going to spam you. I'm not going to be emailing you every week. It's going to be the exclusive launch information and then any specials going forward. So make sure you go and sign up at sobeautystuff.com. But if you have any other questions about the brushes, about the journey to get here, you want to hear any more about the history and how we got to where we are, please let me know. I'd be really keen to answer those questions for you. Thank you for watching. You can subscribe to my channel if you want to make sure you don't miss any of my future videos. And why would you want to? And see you in my next one. Bye.